there are some things that men say that we need to pay attention to that are clear signs that he's not ready to commit. So I want to go over those today. Thank you so much for joining us again on Second Act TV. Once again, I'm so happy to welcome back Bob Grant, the relationship expert, dating coach, and founder of Relationship Headquarters. Bob, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks, Ike. It's always nice to be with you.
Yeah, our topic today, Bob, I think a lot of women are going to be interested in this. It's very frustrating, especially, well, early in the dating process that, is he serious about me? Is he ready to commit? And based on a lot of writing that you have done and on your website, there are some things that men say that we need to pay attention to that are clear signs that he's not ready to commit. So I want to go over those today. And I'll throw the first one out to you here. If he says, I'm just really busy right now, what's he really saying?
I love the inflection when you do that because it really depends on what's going on. So there's going to be some times in their life where there really is a life circumstance where he has a job interview coming up or a deadline that you've known about, and this is more of him reminding you of that. But just in general, when he says this, one of the things I've known, like, is that for men, when something's a priority, we find a way to make time. Now, that may be something that's more of a priority for me than it is for you. It may just be something I don't like you're suggesting I'm doing. But if we're looking for a pattern, we're starting to hear that come up. Pay attention, because that's my concern, is that that's a lack of investment that he's doing. And if he's not making a priority, I would pay attention to that and other things that might be going on in your relationship.
I agree. I think just in general, that's if anybody tells you, oh, I'm just so busy, that excuse basically says it's not important to them. I mean, I think that runs true for just about anything. So definitely pay attention to it. Yes, there are exceptions, and you explained that well, but it's definitely a red flag and something to pay attention to. Number two here, you deserve better than me.
At the heart of that, there's a spirit of being condescending, because you deserve better than me. I'm only going to say that if I believe I'm from a superior position. So if I really believe that with someone, I'm not going to tell them that. It's like telling someone that water's wet. And it's a way of avoiding a difficult conversation, as opposed to, I'm sorry, I don't think we're a good fit. Where you're wanting to get married and I'm not ready to get married right now. Or I just think when we, get angry at each other, we just have different ways of trying to work that out. Now that's a more authentic conversation. It's more
Mm-hmm.
complicated. It might be more difficult, but
Mm-hmm.
it's more real. But when someone says that phrase, you're doing that to make yourself feel better, that you're like a great guy, that I'm just not going to let someone down that way.
Perfect explanation. And the worst thing I think you would agree, a woman can do is like try to convince him that you are good enough or something. I mean, it's just silly.
And it's easy to do. I mean, we're scared and we're nervous in the moment, but if we can just hold on during that moment and not try to react or something, because you're right, when we calm down, you and I wouldn't do this with our friends. If someone treated our friend that way, we'd be like, I know you're heartbroken right now, but honest to goodness, I don't like that guy. Or I don't
Right.
like the way we would instantly feel that toward them. And we just want to do the same thing,
Yeah.
have that same value for ourselves.
Exactly. And remember, these are warning signs. So if you're hearing this, as Bob said, and it's a pattern, it's do pay attention to that and save yourself a lot of time. Here's one, boy, that I actually had heard that. Let's just see where this goes.
On a first date, that's fine. But usually that comes up is they've been into this for a few dates and she doesn't have any idea as to what his intentions are. Or are we going towards something exclusive, or are we not going to do that? And then she asks, which is a fair question, or have just wondering some idea. And he says, let's see where it goes. The problem I have with that is, and guys, I'm not saying women don't do this either. Men want the woman to kind of park it while he makes up his mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, I'm not saying the man's awful. I just think that's an awful position for a woman or a man to be in, as opposed to them have more clarity. And, what's the hesitation? Maybe I just came out of a breakup not long ago. And I remember my problem. I am nervous about getting another relationship. Okay. Understand that. but just leaving it loosey goosey, we could do that for a year or two. If I'm the recipient, I have no idea how long that lasts, and that's the part I think is unfair.
And so are you willing to tolerate it? That's again, you, so in a way, the woman is in complete control here. You may not want to let go, but you have that option. You don't have to take this. Number four, another one to really pay attention to, and it's something that women don't maybe want to see because they want it to work so bad. I don't want to commit because he's giving you a specific reason.
And when he says it, the one I've heard probably the most, and maybe you've heard this too, is when a man says, I'm just never going to get married again.
Mm-hmm.
And when I hear that, I tell women, I go, you need to really pay attention to that one because men don't say that lightly. By the time a man says that, there's usually a reason, usually it's a divorce or some trauma or something. And it doesn't mean that they have to want to get married to be healthy. It doesn't mean that, but it means they've resolved to themselves, that's not for me for whatever reason. And that's not something they're open to, changing or wanting to change. I'm good the way it is. Don't try to change me. Let's have a good time. And if you're okay with that, that's fine. But don't count on dating him and loving him enough that you're going to change him. I've seen too many where that doesn't happen. I've seen women waste years waiting on a great guy, but just was never going to commit like she wanted.
Yeah, if that's what you want, definitely pay attention. Paul and I are in probably not a unique situation, but are in that. We've been together 15 years. He does not want to get married again, and neither does this one. I mean, we really, marriage is to us is bringing this state into our relationship. It's just not a good thing. It would have literally a negative cloud over the relationship, be it wrong or right. It doesn't mean you can't have a relationship, but if you want to get married, which a lot of people do, big red sign that you want to pay attention to.
I like what you said there, how clear that it's more of this is what I like or this is my conviction, this is what,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that kind of clarity helps the other person. And so if you hear someone, clear, like what you said was, I thought was really well said, is that see that there's no this is a problem for me. What do you think? It's not that. It's just no. That's and that kind of I think that helps if someone doesn't hear that. Most of the time, it's because they don't want to hear it. And again, not
Right,
to be
exactly.
ugly. And see, you made that so clear. It's hard not to hear that unless I just don't want to hear it.
Yeah, you have to be on the same page, and that's the key, I think. And yeah, this is one, like as you say in your blog, to really pay attention to, or as you already said, you can waste years and years, and a lot of women do. Bob, I wanted to get your input on some other things that weren't in your blog that are very specific to over 50, and see what you think about this. If he says, I'm still healing from my divorce. Now yeah, that's probably true, but why does that really matter to pay attention to?
It depends on how it's being used. My
Mhm.
concern with open-ended things is I can wait until I'm ready. That could be 40 years, which is fine for me, but it may not be fine for you doing that. It absolves me from having to be specific, like what is it? How am I going to know if I'm healed? What is it? Do I need a prenuptial? Is that going to help? Is it going to be, I need to see you get angry first so I can see how we resolve conflict, taking some ownership. So that's what I've had couples where I'm talking to women. I'll say, well, let's ask him a little bit. Not so much when's the date, but what do you mean by healing, or what? Because if this is just a nebulous thing, I think that's more than fair for a woman to have some idea as to is this something again you want to be healed? Is it something needs to be healed? Is it because I don't want to be held hostage, and I think that's
Right.
more than fair for her not to want to be in that position.
Right. And using the divorce as an excuse, it's something that it's difficult to challenge that because it makes so much sense. I need to heal. Well, we on this show tell people, don't go jump into another relationship unless you're over your divorce. So yeah, again, you explained that very well. To what extent are you going to tolerate that?
I'll even go a step further. In fairness to either one, someone's dating and then they're saying that. I mean, the one thing is, well, why are you dating? I
Mhm.
mean, please don't say that to them. That probably won't work, but that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, why are
Good
you,
thought.
I mean that's not fair to them. You went into this, you got on the dating side, and then you got in. We like each other. Oh no, no. It's like I'm sorry. I need to heal from my divorce.
Because I probably wouldn't date you if you said that up front, which is the
Yes,
good. Yeah,
yes. If I
yeah,
put that on my profile,
yeah. I just want compare, which is okay if that's what you
well,
want.
which is okay, but
Just
at
say
least
that
you
up front.
know.
Right, exactly. Another good one here. Let's keep things light and fun. Again, why does that matter after
If
50?
I'm up front with that, that's fine. There are folks I know that just they're widowed or divorced, and they just are not into anything serious right now, and they're up
Hmm.
front with it. Okay, I don't see anything's wrong with that at all. Usually, when this comes up is when they start off with dating and they don't give any idea as far as what they're looking for, what they're hoping for, and one
Hmm.
person starts to feel more intense than the other, which is just dating in general. Someone's faster than the other one. And then the other one's like, oh, let's just keep it light and fun. What? You didn't say that up front. You're all charming and wonderful and smiling at me and paying for dinner and all those things. And now you just want to keep it light and fun. I mean, and I can see why folks, get taken aback
Hmm.
because you didn't act this way. And
Hmm.
now you have to say it's like you changed the rules. So I think a lot of this goes back to if we're upfront with someone, if we don't want to have a natural progression or
Hmm.
normal progression, okay, let's just tell them up front.
Right,
And then
right,
the person
right.
has an idea as far as who they're evaluating and what they can expect from me.
Yeah, to me, it just sounds like, I'm not that into you or not enough to be serious. There's no future planning here. Again, take that as a sign. Here, this happens more, I think, with women maybe than men. But if a man says that, my kids come first, my kids are grandkids, and I don't have time for more. Boys, that's a huge red flag for me.
It is because it's similar to what you had said about recovery. Who's going to argue when someone mentions their kids? I mean, it's like you pull the kid out, and who's going to get. But with the kids, what I've seen a lot is, and I talk more with women than men, like right after a divorce,
Mm-hmm.
especially if a man has small children. There's almost always a hitting the brakes kind of stuff because the reality hits him and
Mm-hmm.
he sees how much pain his children are in. And even if the divorce, he felt he needed to do it. And now all of a sudden she's like, what happened? I said, well, the reality with his kids hit. And
Mm-hmm.
so sometimes that does happen, but that still falls back to the person to take ownership for that, take inventory before you involve somebody else in a relationship. And if your kids are just first priority right now, that's fine. I've got children, totally get that. But that's not fair to someone to get into it and then all of a sudden, like you said, pull that ace card out and just
Right.
my kids over here. And then it's what's the solution? Is it I need to
Mm-hmm.
like not date until they graduate? Okay, wish you told me that up front. And that's where I find a lot happens is folks pull it out later instead of being aware up front what their priorities are.
Well, and at our age, we actually have a whole video on this and probably will do more. The whole dating with adult children. There's so much to that topic because the adult children can really mess up your plans for relationship. And then it's really up to the parent. How much are they willing to tolerate? What makes sense and what doesn't? It's a very triggering topic. So yeah, pay attention with that. Here's another good one. Lastly, I don't see the point of labels, meaning, they're not calling you their boyfriend or girlfriend or boyfriend for that matter, but, label. What are labels?
I know we talked a little about this, about the idea of avoiding responsibility. I generally tell women not to get exclusive too quickly if it's marriage they want or something long term, so that you don't know if it's this place where just kind of casual but stuck. And if someone doesn't want to do a label or be identified with it, it's a big part of I don't want to be held accountable to a certain standard. That's okay if I don't want to. But if I'm the receiving end, if I'm talking to a woman with this, I'm saying, okay, he doesn't owe you to be a boyfriend. He doesn't owe you to, but then let's evaluate, is this what you want in a relationship? So, forget right or wrong. Let's make it your problem. I mean, if it bothers you, is this what I want? Is this what I'm going to accept? Is this good enough? Because that label makes me feel secure. I have some idea as to where we stand. I have
Right.
some idea where the relationship is progressing.
Mhm.
And if you don't want that, then I don't know if you want to stay like second date basis forever. See, I don't know, and I think that's more than fair for someone to have some idea as to what your intentions are.
Yeah, I agree. And it's not even so much even stating I'm not, labels. It's what that says by not introducing you as, oh, this is Silka, my girlfriend, or, this is, Bob. He's, my boyfriend, my partner. That it gets so awkward, especially for the person who wants to be, who wants that commitment, who wants to be seen like that.
Yeah, and I think and when you said that, what came to mind was when you were talking about you and me is just out of courtesy.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm letting people know that, like you said, it's my partner, it's my girlfriend. I mean, just as opposed to here she is, or
Right.
just pointing at her. I mean,
Yeah.
that I wouldn't do that with a friend. I would introduce them, in some degree of what makes them special to me.
Yeah, it's in some kind of context. Oh, she's old high school girlfriend, old,
Mhm.
old friend. Oh my God, you do that. So this is again another triggering topic that you kind of have to think about, because not saying it sends more of a message, I think, than actually saying something. Again, lots to think about in what the actual words or what a simple something that you say can tell the other person. In wrapping this up, Bob, what would you want to add here?
I think the biggest thing we've talked about is knowing first off for yourself, what is it you want in a relationship? I
Mhm.
mean, like you said, do I want to get married one day or remarried? Am I just fine with just casual dating? I don't know that I would like on the first date just kind of blurt that out. But as the relationship progressed, I would mention some of this, or I would pay attention, especially if a man is saying this, just to get an idea so that we don't have to be perfectly aligned, but we want to make sure that we're somewhat aligned. And that when you hear a man say certain things, don't dismiss them because, oh,
Mhm.
I know what he really means. Trust in general with men that what he's saying is what he means, especially as far as his relationship status.
Great way to end this. If a man says something, he usually means it, especially if it's something like this. And yeah, and take these as warning signs. Yes, there's exceptions to all this. I think you did a great job of explaining that. But do open your eyes. And I rationalized a lot of this. We get it. And that's why, again, these segments, I think the most value here, really the awareness that we're hopefully raising, if so you don't waste a whole bunch of time. So, well, anyway, if you need some help with some of this, if some of this hit home, and you'd like to talk to someone, Bob is a fabulous coach. Contact him at relationshipheadquarters.com. All of the information is in the show notes below. And Bob, you also have your own YouTube channel, you have blogs, your website. All those links are below as well. And I look forward to seeing you again soon on Second Act TV.